Wander lieb ich für mein Leben, lebe eben wie ich kann. Wollt ich mir doch Mühe geben, passt es mir doch gar nicht an.
Dear Diary, I have deduced a most sensible mathematical equation from my observations. The equation is as follows. A is equal to B. Just because A precedes B does not mean that the two letters are not equal. They are exactly alike. Let me start from the beginning so you can understand my logic, my darling beloved diary. I normally do not mingle with humans, but today was an exception. I was tired from roaming and decided to sit down in a cafeteria. The cafeteria was divided into two distinct groups of humans. The first group was labeled Group A, and they all sat to the left. The second group was called Group B, and they were all seated to the right. Group A and Group B were enemies. Both felt that they were uniquely different. That's probably why that they were seated on separate ends of the room. I sat down on an empty chair that was at the side of Group A. I was not very interested in the conversation of the humans in Group A, and I found staring at my hands to be much more exciting. I noticed that a good chunk of my skin was beginning to shed. You see, I never really was human. I would wear this human skin when exposing myself in public. I knew if I exposed who I really was, the outrage of the humans would be too much to bear, especially since at times I get low on energy and I might be unable to defend myself. But today, I was feeling extra rebellious, and I was finding these humans to be quite the irritating pests that they always are. So I happily peeled off a piece of this human skin and let it fall to the floor. Immediately, the humans in Group A started to scream in hatred. "You are not one of us," they shouted. "Where should I go?" I asked. "Go over to Group B and sit with them," they replied. Human logic is full of blunders. Group A does not like Group B, and since I, Anastasia, is not liked by Group A, the humans assumed that I belonged to Group B. What they failed to understand was that I, Anastasia, walk alone. Anyway, feeling in a mischievous mood, I went over and I sat with Group B. This time I started to stare at my legs, for Group B's conversation was just as boring as Group A's. Again, the human skin was peeling off very easily from my leg. This time I completely removed it and held it up against the light. Human skin is so frail, so weak. At this point, the humans in Group B were appalled. "What are you?" they screamed in disgust. "Vomir! Vomir!" screamed another human in Group B. Vomir? What could that mean? This human was speaking in French. It was saying that the sight of me makes her vomit. I, Anastasia, am hated internationally as well. At this point, both Group A and B gathered around me. "Who are you?" they screamed. "I am not like you," I answered. "What do you want?" they screamed in unison. "I do not want what you want," I replied. My answers puzzled them even more, and their perplexity turned into anger. I had incited a war in a tiny cafeteria. As I looked down at these humans, I noticed that they were shrinking. Suddenly, my head hit the ceiling. Then it dawned on me. It wasn't the humans that were shrinking, but it was I, Anastasia, that was growing. Group A and B were now mingling with each other. Their hatred of me is what made them bond. How typical. They never were that different to begin with. "What have you become?" they shouted as they stared at my huge presence. "I am on my way to being God," I answered. The humans were repulsed at what I said, but at the same time cringed in fear as my mere presence loomed over them. "My existence is greater than all of your groups combined," I shouted. Being that I was on my way to being God, I felt strong bolts of lightning surge through me. My powers were in full effect now, and like the Greek god Zeus, I struck both Groups A and Groups B with lightning bolts. Watching humans squirm and run around frantically just before they die is a most glorious sight to see. Now I understand how gods have so much fun. As a god, I am not interested in having humans worship me. Humans are like roaches, and no one cares who roaches worship. But as a god, I have the gift of knowledge, and that is a gift few have. Anyway, my darling diary, that was my ordeal today. And as far as that mathematical equation goes, I can safely conclude that Group A is equal to Group B. Anastasia.
Draußen in die Seiten reiß ich, weiß nicht, wo ich abends ruh. Man gemacht.